Everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to ABL Live on a Tuesday. We have the debate coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, the debate officially begins at 9 p.m. Eastern, but I want to be here a little bit early because this is going to be big. Oh man, oh man. There's a lot to discuss, and shout out to you guys for joining. I appreciate y'all for being here. We're going to have some fun tonight, in my humble opinion. It's a lot already going on. It's a lot happening. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the debate. I know you guys are as well. So we're going to get into it very soon. Again, the debate officially begins at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're at 8 p.m. Eastern right now, so we're about an hour early. And I was on time, ain't it? 8 p.m. Eastern on the dot. Can't nobody say the white man helped me back. Listen, me and the white man had a conversation. I'm like, look, white man, check it out. I got a stream to do, and it's very important. And people have been asking me a lot. So I was like, you know what? We can't have no back and forth. I'm not going to be Tyreek Hill on the side of the road acting crazy. Oh, you ain't going to arrest me. I ain't going to let my window down. No. We're going to be peaceful, and we're going to start the stream on time. So we are here. And again, the debate begins 9 p.m. Eastern. President Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Oh man, I can't wait. Shout out to you guys again for being here. I appreciate y'all. If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the content, please give this video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. That will help me out tremendously. Alrighty, we got a whole lot happening. So this is going to be on ABC News, and y'all know I'm with it. Y'all know I'm with it.
The two have ever met, and the circumstances of tonight's meeting.
Oh, sorry for the noise interference. I'm just getting this ready. Now, look, what I wanted to show you, see, look, they're right on time. Look at that. Look at God. Now, what I want you to notice here is the size difference in the podiums. Okay, let me just get myself out of the way a little bit, so you can see the podiums on the screen. There's a size difference. So here's what I heard. Here's what I heard through the grapevine. Here's what they told me behind the scenes. Trump did not want Kamala to use any kind of artificial heightening, like a box or a stool, nothing that will make her look like she's taller than what she is. Okay. So what they did was they gave her a smaller podium to speak at. I am not making this up. I'm showing it to you right here on the screen. They gave her a smaller podium. And the Trump team said it's like the little kids table at a family reunion. I was crying. I was crying. Hey, y'all can't sit with the adults. Y'all know how it was at a family reunion. And this ain't no black, white. Nah, this is, especially down south, maybe even up north. Okay, you got a family gathering, a cookout, or reunion or something like this. And all the adults, they go to one particular table, one particular place. All the kids, y'all go to the little kids table. Y'all go over there. And do y'all remember you be 12 years old? I'm not a kid no more. I'm going to sit with the adults. Especially me. I was all big. I'm like 5'10", 200 pounds at 12 years old. They're like, nah. You still a little boy. Go over there. That's what they're doing right here with the podiums. Again, if you're just not coming in, a key detail we learned, Kamala has a smaller podium than Trump. I swear. She says she's 5'4" and some change, like 5'4" and a half. I don't know about that. Like these basketball players. Oh, I'm 7 foot tall, but really they're 6'9" in real life. That's kind of the way she looks. She's 5'2" at best, fun size at best, petite at best. 5'4", you're stretching it just a tad bit. You might be 5'4" and a half in the pair of heels, but regular flat foot or some chancletas, you bought 5 foot even. No, I'm 5. I'll give her 5'2", 5'2" and a half, 5'4". I don't know. So yeah, that's what's going on right here. Let's get to some of this.
Which version of Donald Trump shows up? Is it the former president that stays on message, or is it the former president that...
So they're just doing like a little preliminary stuff. They're just talking about what's coming up in the debate. So yeah. But we're going to get to it. Shout out to you guys for being here yet again. Again, the debate starts officially at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're at 8:04 p.m. Eastern time right now. but we are going to get into everything. Hold on, let me see what he's talking about right here.
Face to face, and they'll be standing just 6 feet apart. No live studio audience to cheer them on, no campaign staff allowed in this room either. Donald Trump won the coin toss and decided to give the final word in this debate. Vice President Kamala Harris choosing the podium on the right side of the debate stage. The candidates' microphones will only be turned on when it is their turn to speak. They will have 2 minutes to answer each question, 2 minutes for a rebuttal, and just 60 seconds for any follow-up questions, which means they'll be paying close attention to this clock right here. The colors will change as the time winds down, turning yellow when there's just 15 seconds left and red when their time is up. And of course, sitting right here will be our very own David Muir and Linsey Davis, who will be moderating the first and likely only debate before the November election.
Air traffic control.
All right, so look, it is one thing to obviously meet your rival, but it's another thing to meet them on stage at the debate.
All right, so that's what's going on so far. So you see what's happening with the smaller podium. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture, like a better picture of the podium so you can see just how different it is. All right, so let me see here. All right, hold on. So just to give you a recap, no opening statements, only closing remarks. Microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to talk. Former President Trump will get the final word. All right. So, yeah, shout out to him. Man, Kamala, we don't really see Kamala speak too much. I think this would be the first time we've seen Kamala speak this much on camera at all, ever, maybe. Maybe back when she was running in 2020. Maybe back then she spoke a lot. But as of this current campaign, she hasn't spoke much at all on camera. We streamed the interview that she did alongside Tim Walz, where she spoke for less than 18 minutes total. So I think she might need a little bit more than that tonight. The debate will be 90 minutes, and I presume they're going to get equal time. I promise I better not see one commercial. I swear. If I see a commercial, ABC, you got to count your days. Your days are numbered if I see one commercial. If I see a pop-up ad in there, okay, the debate is brought to you by Menon, something like that on the front, I'm okay with that. But if we have full-on commercials and filler, that'd be nuts. But I don't see that happening. I think they only did that for Kamala during her so-called interview because they didn't have much to work with. It's like, look, okay, we're on the cutting room floor and we got a pile of garbage. So let's get what we can out of this and then put some commercials on it and call it a day. They probably didn't even need the commercials, but they wanted to fill time. So they had to put something right there. I mean, they couldn't just have somebody on there reading War and Peace. Like, they got to do something that makes sense to the audience. Okay, let's do some filler content, some B-roll. Let's just talk about how bad Orange Man is for the 1 millionth time. Sure, let's do that, and then let's put some commercials in there. All right. Yeah, them jingles, them jingles stick in your mind. All right, that's the same thing they do with the whole MAGA Republican and all that. It makes it stick in your mind. So when you asking regular normies, hey, who you voting for? And then when you start to get into, trying to get them to express why they feel the way they feel, all they're going to do is rattle off talking points, the same kind of way that you can remember a jingle. All right. So, yeah, shout out to you guys. All right. And if you like what you're hearing so far, if you enjoyed the content in general, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. Okay. I think I wanted to look at the podium. Let me see if I have a better picture of it. And again, if you guys are just now coming in, the debate will start at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so here we go. This is something I can read right quick for you guys. So it says Kamala Harris will have a miniature podium during a miniature podium is crazy. My little podium, easy bake podium. That's crazy. Anyway, Kamala Harris will have a miniature podium during tonight's debate on ABC against Donald Trump. hold on. The move was requested by Harris's team, who was afraid she will look tiny compared to Trump. The smaller podium will make it so that candidates look the same size during a televised split screen. As noted by Axios, Harris and Trump have one of the largest height differences among presidential nominees in the United States history. Trump is 6'3", while Harris is 6'4". That is a really big difference. I am also 6'3", and I know, shout out to my 6'4", short kings and queens. Well, for a woman, that's like regular height. But I know people who are 5'4", it looks crazy. It's a big difference. And then when you're next to the person on stage and you're trying to be a leader, the height difference will matter. I've always told you guys that there's only been one president since Jimmy Carter who was below 6 foot. Well, I think Jimmy Carter, there's been no presidents since Jimmy Carter who were below 6 foot. He was the last one. He was 5'10". Everybody else, Slick Willie, Obama, Trump, H.W., Reagan, they were all above 6 foot. And some like 6'2", 6'3". So when you got a 5'4" person, to some people, that's like a petty thing, but it matters. Okay. So look, one Trump campaign official said the smaller podium looks like the kids' table at Thanksgiving. And you can see the difference right there. Now, you can see the one on the right is shorter. Now, am I tripping, or is there other differences aside from the actual height of the podium? If I was a betting man, I would say there's something else going on with the actual, what they call that? Is that the lectern right there? This piece, the ledge, the lectern, whatever it is, the desk portion. There's some kind of lip right there up under it, and it doesn't exist on that one. It's structurally different. This looks like it's more fortified, and this looks like it was kind of improvised to be that way, although it was not intended to be that way. Somebody might have got a skill saw, cut it up right quick, and then to make it shorter, they didn't put the base of the lectern. I thought it was wider as well. I thought it was wide. I thought it was a width difference, not just a height difference. So the height is different. The width is different. It's different. It's all the way different. So hold on, let me see. Somebody says Mattel's mini podium. Yeah, my little podium. All of that. The jokes are hilarious. The jokes are absolutely hilarious about the size of the podium. All right, so yeah, we're going to see how this whole thing plays out. But again, the debate will be at 9 p.m. for you guys just now coming in. We already got almost 4,000 in the building so early. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate y'all. You got the Fisher Price podium. Exactly. All right. So again, did I say 9 p.m. Eastern, the debate starts. We're just early doing some preliminary coverage. So do you guys think this is going to be a curb stomping? Is it going to be one of those things, take him behind the woodshed, give him an old good stomp down? Do you think Kamala will be victorious? Do you think Trump will be victorious? What's your opinion about how it's going to go? I think it's pretty obvious, man. I don't even know how Kamala succeeds at all. The only way Kamala can have any positive press is if they just straight up lie, which they always do, of course. But the lies they're going to need to tell to salvage this are going to be out of control. The lies they're going to need to tell to salvage this is they're going to tell monumental lies. Monumental lies. A teleprompter, nah, man, they can't have no teleprompter. That'd be nuts. They cannot have a teleprompter out there. Trump's going to mop the floor with her. Yeah, that's right, Bad Dog Sports. All day long. All day long. Okay, now I have some videos that relate to the actual debate. Oh yeah, I got some things I can show you guys right quick, and I'm gonna show. I ain't gonna do my full, Wednesday show right now, but I'm gonna show you guys some things that kind of relate to what I'm talking about. Okay. So yeah, this right here. Okay, I got them. So first, we got Trump landing in Philly, or getting off the plane. RP to the headphone users. So this is him arriving in Philly. Let's hope the security is where it's supposed to be. Yeah, I see my man right here. Straight block jaw, looking like the protagonist from Wolfenstein. Okay, I like that. That's what I want to see. The Secret Service guards, the agents. I want them guys to look like they chew steel for breakfast. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see no DEI. I don't want to see no diversity. I want to see straight up chiseled jaw, looking like if they got to go into war now, they're ready. Yeah, exactly. A real man. That's right, Sadie. A real man. Shout out to him. Yeah, hitman in real life. Like this guy right here. Yeah, give me him. Hey, ABL, who do you want to be on Secret Service detail? Yeah, give me the guy who looks like give me the guy who looks like he can delete anybody right now if he needs to. Give me that guy. Give me that dude, all right? Don't give me no just random person because of diversity. I don't want that. I don't want that. Now, street interview. And shout out to Nick Shirley. Hey, before I continue, shout out to all the young guys, all the young YouTubers getting out there in the street, making things happen. Shout out to you guys, man. Nick Shirley. I think this guy's like 19, 20, young boy. Okay. He's out there doing street interviews and he's asking this lady, who's going to win the debate, Trump or Kamala? And let's get the answer, shall we?
Who do you think is going to win the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris?
I'm praying that Harris wins.
Okay.
But I'm praying also for Trump because he's in a lot of trouble right now as far as indictments and, But I hope she wins. We need a new fresh start,
And you think Kamala will give us a new fresh start even though she's been in office for the past 3 years?
You know what? She's a woman. She needs a chance.
So it's so crazy. It's like fresh start. How are you getting a fresh start with a person who's in office right now? You're the current vice president. You're in the White House. But if we elect you, it's going to be a new start, huh?
This is the first woman, black, white, or other, in office.
So do you think just
for
because she's a woman?
She needs a chance to prove herself. I mean, who was it that went against Trump?
Hillary.
Now, she's strong. She was really strong. So if she can take some of that oil or seasoning or education from her, because they all Democrats.
Some of Hillary Clinton's oil. Listen, I don't want no Hillary Clinton oil or seasoning or whatever she got. I am good. Keep that away from me. Keep that over there. Keep that over there. I don't want that. Okay. But even she's acknowledging that Hillary was stronger than Kamala. And you see what happened to Hillary. Got stomped into the finest of wine. Okay. Got a whole chalice or whatever y'all call it. The wine glass, the chalice, a whole big container full of freshly stomped wine. And she got stomped in the wine in 2008 during the primary against Mr. Obama. So you get stomped out by Barack Obama. You get stomped out by Trump. And she's stronger than Kamala. So how does Kamala fare against Trump when Trump soundly defeated the stronger version of the same person? Come on, man. We got to just use our brain a little bit. I don't want to get overconfident and just say, we got it in the bag, whatever. But come on now.
She should be okay.
Just because she is a woman, you're going to be voting for her?
No, not because she's a woman, because she's black. And that's the first black woman president. If she was white, it'd be the first white woman. It's a woman. And she's educated, she's young. And she don't want any trouble. Trump is for Trump and his, proteges.
Okay. All righty. See, that's a kind of, you're going to get that a lot just out in the street because people don't know nothing. I've been saying that, of course, on here for a long time. People don't know anything. People don't know nothing. I mean, it's to the point now, if you go out in the street and you ask someone what's 1 + 1, you might not get the right answer. They might tell you something else, and it might be a high percentage of the wrong answer. It's that bad out here nowadays. Nobody knows how to count or how to read, but everybody knows about their pronouns and all the other irrelevant nonsense that doesn't matter at all. That does not lend to productivity. That only lends to societal decay and immorality and all that kind of good stuff. All right, now we got Doug Emhoff, Big Doug. Okay, Big Doug out here I don't see Jill Biden anywhere, so I guess they just putting their little thing on hold for a while. Here he is speaking to tens of people on the street about Kamala.
56 days to save our country, to save our democracy. Now, we have not, Kamala and I, my wife, I love saying that. We have not spent a lot of time together because we've both been working hard. I've been traveling all over the country on behalf of the Harris Walls ticket, literally nonstop. So we got to spend a little time together.
Okay, who you spending time with though? You probably out there with somebody else, ain't you? This dude is a nut. He's bad. Everybody that's involved with Kamala and that side are just really bad. Tim Walz, his own family doesn't like him. Listen, they tried to fact check me. Hold on. We can come back to Doug. I know Doug has quite a bit to say, and Doug Emhoff is very important. He's a very important person, right? But I wonder if I could show you this picture that got fact checked. I'm gonna try to see if I can do it without, looking crazy. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I can do it this way. Okay. So look, boom. You see this right here? I put this picture on Facebook, and you see this is the waltzes for Trump. And you can see at the top, they fact checked me. Look at this. It says missing context. The same information was checked in another post by independent fact checkers. They put a fact check on this. Now, what could possibly be wrong with this? What did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Is this a fake picture? No, the picture is real. They're not saying the picture is fake. What they're saying through the fact check is that this doesn't prove that Tim Walz's entire family hates him. Who said that? Nobody said all that. I didn't even put a caption on this. I didn't even caption this. All I did was just post it. So either it's fake or it's real. I didn't even put a caption. So I didn't say anything about the picture. If someone presumes that I mean his entire family hates him, that'd just be wrong. But enough of his family doesn't like him, obviously. Now, this is some of Tim Walz's family from Nebraska. They have on Waltzes for Trump t-shirts, and then they got a Trump 2024 sign in the background. Okay? But they fact checked me on that. It's totally nuts. But that's what's happening right now with social media, and it's been like that for a minute. You got guys like Zuckerberg talking about, we're going to fix things, man. Look, I can't tell. I cannot tell. All right. It's still pretty censory over there. But yeah, shout out to the Waltzes for Trump and the fact check on the picture. Nobody said it was his entire family, but check it out. I have people in my family that don't like what I do. I got cousins that every post I put up, especially on Facebook, the older crowd, oh yeah, they love Facebook. That's their thing. As soon as Anthony posts something, I got one of my cousins or two of them or three of them, they kind of operate in shifts and they just post something negative. It could be anything. It could be something positive about their side and they still find a way to make it be negative. But guess what they're not going to do? What they're not going to do is go on TV with a I hate ABL shirt. Yeah, ABL's my cousin, but I hate him. They're not going to do that. Because at the end of the day, they all still love me and respect me, but they just get offended. But to do something like this is out of this world. Like, who does that? And of course, you got Facebook and big tech trying to censor, trying to regulate. Shifts, Sheree, they do it in shifts. They do it in shifts. It is a complete mess. But they're not going to jump out the window and put on t-shirts and do interviews talking about how much they hate me because they don't. Okay. All my family, they cool. Everybody cool. Nobody would ever do that to me at all. All right. So yeah, shout out to y'all. Shout out to, hey, whoever's on shift right now, hating on my posts. I still love you. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. All right. Don't even worry about it. Hey, shout out to you, Christina Aguilar. Christina Aguilar says, we're your family, Anthony. Thank you. You guys are my family. So thank you. I appreciate you. I really do. Yes, we got 5,000 in the chat, Joe. Shout out to you. 5,000 in the chat, and we're just getting started. And that's something else, Zealand Zen. Thank you, Zealand Zen. Zealand Zen says, JFK Jr.'s family denounced him rudely. RFK, his whole family came out, not the whole family, but a lot of them came out And then they say, oh, we denounce him. And the media is very funny because the media says that the Kennedys denounced RFK Jr. Okay, was it everybody in the entire family or was it just like 6 people? You see what I'm saying? So that's fine for that narrative to be out there. But then when it comes to Tim Walz, it's more people that came out against him, but it's not the entire family. You see how they do? Mainstream media plays so many games. That's why I hang my hat on honesty. I hang my hat on honesty because the truth defends itself. I don't care who it hurts. I don't care who it benefits. The truth is the truth regardless of what. I don't like people that will say one thing one day and then a different thing the next day. Be consistent. If you're going to say that 6 family members is an entire family and then say that they all hate him, then let it be the same thing for somebody else. But the narrative is RFK is helping Trump. He's a Republican. He's racist. We got to attack him. But on the contrary, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, oh, we got to protect them. Whatever they do, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. There was a guy who was dressed quite inappropriately, shirt off, looking like it's about 800 pounds. I'm exaggerating, but it is what it is, at the beach, talking about, I don't care if Kamala hit a small child, I'll still vote for her. Matter of fact, I'm going to play some of that. I'll play some of that and be warned. Okay, be warned. You got a whole sumo wrestler out there just not really dressing the way you're supposed to. Let me see if I can find that right quick. But if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. Somebody says we want walls, not waltz. Right on. Yeah, put that big southern border wall up immediately. That's what I need. That is what I need. I need that wall up ASAP. ASAP. All right, I got to find that actual video. Yeah, I need to find that right quick. And again, if you're just now coming in, the debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're at about 8:27. So we still got a little while, about a half hour or so. And once we get rocking, we're going to be rocking. Once we get rocking, we're rocking. All right, hold on. I think I remember where it is now. Let me see now. Hold on. And before I get to that, there's some kind of ad. So I'm on Shade Room, as I always be, in the community. And there's an ad here. And it says, Kamala Harris's campaign drops video seemingly trolling Donald Trump ahead of the presidential debate. And Kamala HQ says, we're running this ad on Fox News this morning for no particular reason. So let's see what the ad says.
78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes.
They so weird with that, man. They so freaky, man. Get your mind out the gutter. Like, what's all this? Like, they really focusing on that. So I guess the Democratic audience likes that kind of humor, the kind of, inappropriate stuff.
It just goes on and on and on.
So are they really trying to say that Trump does not bring big crowds? Is that what they're trying to say? Man, come on. Like, they really got offended at the whole crowd size thing. They really got offended by that. It's not my fault that you can't even pack out a high school gymnasium. It's not my fault that you got to pay people to come to your rally by, you got to bribe them by having to make the Stallion concert for free. Don't get mad at us because you can't draw anybody. And because when you're on stage, you can't string 2 words together coherently like your man, Joe. And the excuse for Joe is that he's 1 million years old. What's your excuse? You're of sound mind. You're not ancient quite yet. So what's the problem? What you got going on in your brain? Are you a moron? Are you a drooling moron? Is that the problem? If that's the case, then just say that. But if you're not, then what's wrong?
America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
So they're showing footage from the Kamala concert and trying to say that that's a big crowd size. They really got offended at the crowd size thing because they've been trying to hammer on that point for a while. Now, rather than hammer on the crowd size comment, you should focus on some policy. How about that? Let's get some policy because that's one thing your people, Kamala, have been asking you for. Policy. All right. When are you going to drop some of that? And then it was funny. I'm hearing some interviews talking about, oh, well, it's good that she's not dropping any policy yet because she can surprise people. It's like, what? Surprise? I'm not going to listen. If I hire somebody for a job and let's say they're going to be doing something that's intensive, like, I don't know, brain surgery, right? I hire somebody to be a neurosurgeon. I hire a Ben Carson to operate on conjoined twins. What am I going to say? Oh, I don't need their credentials before they do the surgery. It'd be a surprise. Hey, if he goes in there and he's good, then the twins survive. If he's not, then they die. Oh, well. That's not how that's supposed to work. So to become the president, I might want to know where you stand. And that goes for Trump, Kamala, Biden, Obama, WHW, Reagan, whoever it is. White, black, male, female, young, old. I want to hear your policies. And as a matter of fact, you could be running for dog. Excuse me. You could be running for dog catcher in my community, but I still want to hear your policy. That's what I want to hear. Your policy. Dog catcher, okay, what's your platform? How are you going to catch the dogs? Non-lethal, lethal, what are we doing? Same thing, Kamala. What are you going to do with the border? How about the economy? How about national security? How about the whole Ukraine thing? Ukraine's not hitting Moscow directly with drone strikes and things of this nature. How are we going to handle all these situations when you become the president, if you become the president, which you're not, Kamala? But if I was wanting to vote for you or I was undecided, I want to hear that. I want to hear it.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So that ad did not really do anything for me, okay? Listen, Team Kamala, matter of fact, you got it. Don't even worry about it. I'm not going to give y'all no more advice. I'm not going to do it because I'm not trying to help y'all morons do anything. I'm not trying to help y'all do nothing, man. If you're Trump, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And again, we will start the debate 9 p.m. 9 p.m. the debate starts. Alrighty. So we will get to that at that point. Okay. Now, this guy, hold on. I wish I could censor this. You know what? I'm going to censor this a little bit. Okay. I'm going to show him, but I'm not going to show him. All right. There we go. See, look. There we go. There we go. All right, big man. Because I ain't trying to see all this up here. I ain't trying to see all this action up here. All right. Let's just hear what you got to say. All right. We got. I ain't trying to scare the kids off the stream now. Come on now. That's crazy.
Could run over a child live on TV, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm never going to vote for Trump.
That's gnarly.
But the fact is, even though I think she'll make a good president, she's not a good candidate. If you remember from when she ran before, she tends to get real irritated with stuff she doesn't like.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today.
She's not real fast on her feet. Maybe she's better now.
No way.
Live events, things like that, I don't know, man. I don't think she's going to do so well in the debate.
And she will not do well in the debate. And these are people that like her. They actually like her. And they're saying that it's probably not going to go well. All right. So here's another one. And hopefully my man, I don't know what it is with this beach, but you got a bunch of these is it a plus size male fashion show out there? We got these big boys, no shirts on. Ain't nobody trying to see all that. Please put on a t-shirt, cover all that up. Ain't nobody trying to see all that. But I do want to hear what they got to say. Okay. I just wish that these guys like to wear actual clothing.
You want to see being discussed in the debate? What's important to you?
I want to see a few of these from Trump. I want to see a few of these. Some hand gestures.
Yeah, and the hand gestures are coming out. You know, he's dropping some bombs.
You don't need the jabs. You don't need the crap. You don't need all that stuff that goes along with it.
I think with Joe Biden dropping out, Donald Trump had a super excellent opportunity to bring in a lot of really unifying points in the debate. And so I'm hoping he does that this time. That might be good. I hope both of them do, to be honest, and have a productive debate that we actually get somewhere and learn something.
I would like to see him talk about policy. I don't know how well she can. I haven't seen her do it.
You haven't seen her talk about policy?
No, ever.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the policy, I'm telling you, people want policy. They want to know what you're going to do. All right, you want my vote? Why? Why should I give you my vote? For what? For what purpose? What are you going to do for the country? Why should I vote for you? That's a real question. That is a real thing. And if that is not something that's discussed, and I don't want no generic, I want a real answer, a real answer. And if we don't get that, then it's kind of no purpose. Shout out to the super chat right here. Buttface McPherson says a vote for Kamala is a vote for more doo-doo maps. Yeah, the doo-doo maps were crazy. I remember that in San Fran. Is that still a thing out there in San Fran? I don't know how y'all do it. I could never go through a city where it's a risk that it might be some human waste on the ground. The dogs doing their thing is bad enough in the little subdivision, but humans just wherever they at, just letting it go. I don't like that. So I couldn't live in a place like that. And they got a whole app. Oh, if you guys didn't know, listen, there is or was an app for San Francisco, and it shows you certain parts of the city where there's human waste on the ground. So if you're a runner or a biker or something like that, avoid those areas where it's a lot of doo-doo on the map. If you got to use something like that to navigate your city, I mean, you got a problem. You have a problem. You have a problem. All right. Yeah. And the whole thing about the ducks, the whole thing is crazy. Like the Haitian migrants, listen, you can't bring in, okay, so you are in Ohio, right? What's the name of this place? Springfield. And people kind of get offended. It's not a town, ABL, it's a city. The population is what, like 50,000, 60,000? It's not a lot of people. It's a small city at best. A big town or a small city. That's pretty much what it is. It's a small place. The bottom line is they're not a big enough place, whether they be a hamlet, a township, a town, a city. They're not a big enough place with enough industry to be able to handle all these people. If you have 55,000 in your city and you bring on 20 more thousand people who are of one culture and not your culture, it's going to be a clash. It don't matter what color you are. If you're an American, your culture is not their culture. They come from a third world country. A lot of them, they come from, they could be from Port-au-Prince or from the rural area. If they're from the rural area, it's like being African. So they come to America, 25,000 deep into one place. It's going to be a problem. They're going to do what they want to do all the time, and y'all got to suffer. It's just too much. And again, it's not even the color thing, because black folks, white folks, everybody is complaining about the issue. Everybody's complaining. It's too many people into these places that can't take care of them. They can't do anything. This is why they're going. This is why Texas was sending them to, the Martha's Vineyard. They were doing stuff like that because it's like, hey, y'all want open borders, but all that's happening is Texas is being inundated with people. They go into these border towns, and there's not enough resources on the border towns to take care of all the people. So no, y'all got it. Y'all deal with it. And when they went to Martha's Vineyard with help of Ron DeSantis, when they went to Martha's Vineyard, they were deported within 48 hours. 48 hours, they were out of there. And then it looked like when they left, the pictures, when they left, oh my God, I got to find that picture. I got to find that picture. Because when they left, it was like live, laugh, love in real life. The scene, oh man, it was crazy. It was totally nuts. All right, hold on. I got some pictures. This was some of the most cringe I've ever seen in my entire adult life. Y'all remember the whole thing, Martha's Vineyard and the migrants that came, and then they had to get sent to a military base 2 days later? Look, 48 hours they were deported, but then they say, hey, if you don't want them in your community, you're a racist. Okay, and you guys are just not coming in. Again, the debate is at 9 p.m. 9 p.m., so we got about 21 minutes. And of course, I already got the stream queued up. Already got it queued up. It's right here. So as soon as they're ready, I'll be ready. All right? I'll be ready. But let me find that picture right quick. I got to find that because that was crazy. Hold on. Martha's Vineyard. Hey, I'm ready. I cannot wait. Oh, right away I found it. Look at Twitter. Twitter is the best. Okay. So here we go. Migrants leave Martha's Vineyard for military base on Cape Cod. Remember the lady right there? She was like, I was like, really? You doing all that? Look at this. This pose right here was hilarious. I was dying laughing when I saw that. I was like, wow, really? So this is the send-off. Oh, we'll miss you. You guys enriched our lives so much. You guys are so great. We miss you so much already. We miss you already. No, you don't miss them already. You do not miss these migrants. No, you don't. You want them up out of your vacation area immediately. You want them gone. All right? So don't give me this right here. Don't give me that right there. Tell me some, oh, we love them so much. No, you don't. Yeah, that whole thing was crazy. Amid teary-eyed farewell hugs, volunteers who had worked around the clock to provide shelter, food, and clothing to the 48 migrants waved goodbye. Aw, ain't that sweet? Wave goodbye. Where are they going? To a military base to get off of Martha's Vineyard. Military base. Hold on. From Joint Base Cape Cod, attorneys and state officials plan to arrange to help them find accommodations in Massachusetts or out of state. So they're saying it right here. I'm not even making it up. They got sent to a military base. Why not just have them stay in Cape Cod? You guys got plenty of vacant properties because it's a vacation area. So they don't live in houses all the time. So yeah, let them squat in your house. Squatters have rights, right? But not in your backyard. Oh, okay. Cool. So I hope that these people who experience a little bit of migrant enrichment on Martha's Vineyard think about that when they vote. But maybe they think, oh, we're protected from that. We're not going to be privy to that. See, they want you to deal with it, but they don't want to deal with it. They say you're racist if you don't want the migrants in your community. But they get the whole state involved, the military, all of that. All of that. You've never heard about migrants being deported from your hood to a military base. You don't hear about, but they can do it. So that's why they say, oh yeah, let them in. Because they're not going to their community, they're going to your neck of the woods. They're not putting 20,000 Haitians in Martha's Vineyard. They're putting them in Springfield, Ohio, and you have no money to be able to deal with it. You have no officers to be able to deal with the crime that they bring. Your pets, hey man, they might be at risk. I'm hearing about ducks and things of this nature. I'm hearing about a lot. So yeah, we're going to see here. Yes, we got 18 minutes. Excuse me. We have 18 minutes until the debate. We're at 8:42. The debate begins at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. So I cannot wait. It's going to be something else. It's going to be something else. With the Venezuelan up there in Martha's Vineyard, who knows? At this point, you get the entire world coming to the United States. You have the entire world coming here. So at this point, I can't tell. I don't know what's going on for real. Protect our ducks and the migrating geese. But you know, the whole duck story, because it was a man who was giving testimony and he said that the Haitians were going to the park and they were killing ducks, slicing their necks and then eating them. That's what he said. It was a black guy that said it too. So where is the racism? Like they're going to say, oh, it's racist white people saying that. But it was a black guy that's out there in Ohio that said that. But that's not even a surprise, because if you come from a third world place where you don't have anything like we have in America as far as safety net, you just kind of struggling to survive in a real way, you're actually living in poverty, then killing a duck is no big deal. But if you do that over here in the States, it's like, this is barbaric activity. What are you doing? That's a cultural issue. That's just one thing that they do. Throwing trash wherever they want to throw it, driving cars with no licenses, no education about how to drive, ain't speaking no English. It's a problem. It's a cultural. It don't matter if you black, white, whatever. You living in that town, you live a certain way. You know kind of how to maneuver. Okay. But in the case of the migrants, they don't. You can't even tell them how to maneuver because they don't speak English. And then certain things you say may not even translate in their language. A license, what's that? A license to drive a car for what? What I need a license for? Okay. I don't speak no English. What's a driver's license? I got to get my battery in my house replaced, so that beeping don't mean it's working. It's just I got to get the battery replaced. So many little things pile up to big things. So many little things pile up to big things. Hold on. John says, ABL, I'm trying to get my buds in Discord to watch you while I was streaming, but it's all censored. No, we good, man. I think I was censoring some of them, some of those guys. I ain't want to see all they taco meat and whatnot on their chest. But we good. Don't worry about it. We're going to get started at 15 minutes with the debate. We're just doing a little preliminary right now. But you good, John. Don't even worry about it, man. We're going to be live. I don't think we're going to have Kamala or Trump have a wardrobe malfunction on the stage. We better not. We better not. Oh man, if there's any kind of mishap during the debate, man, oh man, I can't wait. It's gonna be good. Yeah, so shout out to you. ER in Australia, ready and watching. Shout out to you out there in Oz. I appreciate you. Please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. Slow Boy Whiteboard says Haitians had corpses in the streets with nobody to clear them out. That's how they were allowed to come here. They cause unrest. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, it's just too many people in such a small place that does not have the capacity to take care of them. We just got to close the border, man. It's so simple. We got the Venezuelans causing problems, the Haitians causing problems, the Chinese. You got Fang Fang and Yum Yum spying on us. It's a mess. It's a whole mess. We got a little bit of everything going on. We got the criminality, the inconvenience of cultural clashing, fighting for resources. I said that before, that you're going to have the migrants fight with regular American citizens for resources. Because, listen, at a certain point, yes, we are a rich country in the United States, but there's only so many resources to go around in particular places. You want to go to this small place in Ohio, middle of nowhere, and demand them to just accommodate you? They can't. And it's getting so bad, they can't even accommodate their citizens that actually live there and pay taxes. Veterans and everybody else are pretty much getting shoved away because all the attention is going toward the migrants. It's not enough to take care of these people. And then you got people that are quoting the poem on the Statue of Liberty talking about give us your huddled masses. No, how about you don't give us the huddled masses? Let the huddled masses stay over there, because we have huddled masses that are actually American citizens. Let's focus on them first rather than bringing in new people. Okay, let's watch them first rather than bringing in new people. And again, we are getting closer to time. We're at about 12 minutes away from the debate. It's going to be great. It's going to be in Philadelphia live, which is fantastic. The last time we saw Kamala on television with an interview of any sorts with Doug Emhoff, that whole sham, that was crazy, man. Don't do that. Listen, whoever did that was at ABC, CBS, CNN. Don't do that again. I don't want to see that no more. It was so bad, they couldn't even fill an hour with commercials and filler. They were done at 9:50 with Kamala in her first interview. It was a mess. It was a whole big mess. So this debate right here, I think this could really shape the election. This could shape the election. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to y'all for joining. I'm really excited. And I don't think, I don't think that there's going to be any other debates. Trump had proposed 3 debates, one before this one and one after this one, but Kamala's team only agreed to 1 debate. And I don't see them agreeing to another one, especially since this one, I don't see how she succeeds. I don't see how she does well at all. Because we've seen her track record. We know Kamala. We saw her in 2020 run for president, and she got stomped in the wine. She was getting stomped out by subpar people at best. Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, these guys. She was getting stomped out by them. And then got stomped out by Joe Biden. And Joe Biden was old and decrepit then. and he's even more decrepit now. So I don't see if Joe Biden is very unpopular and he had no chance, but he beat Kamala soundly in the 2020 primaries to get a Democratic nomination. I don't see how she does better than him now, especially since she's now elevated to a much higher place. So we can all see her. We can all see her faults. We can all see her flaws. I don't see how she succeeds. All right. I really don't understand. But hey, we're going to get to it. This clock is, yes, Booty Gig. That is right, Latin George. Absolutely. That's his name, Booty Gig. Booty Judge, like, what is that? Booty Gig. That has a nice ring to it. Shout out to him. But yeah, she was getting stomped out by guys like this. Came in pretty much dead last. Pretty much dead last. She was so bad in 2020. She dropped out in 2019 before Iowa, before anything. She was that bad. And the thing about Kamala is that she's just goofy. And there's no real substance. There's no real grooming. Listen, Barack Obama was great. Not policy-wise, not politically. He was great as a politician. Clean-cut, handsome guy, tall, could talk, quick on his feet. He was good at doing that. Kamala doesn't have that. But Barack Obama was groomed into that. Okay, you're raised, first of all, not as a black American. That's the first thing. You're raised by your Indonesian stepdad and your white mom. And then you went to Hawaii with your white grandparents. You did not have a black American experience. But then you came to Chicago as an adult to go to a finishing school of sorts, being around the reverend and the barbershop. So now you learn how to be black. Then all of that experience is a grooming process. It's an education process. So when you become a senator in Chicago, it's easy. Boom. You're still on a low level. You can talk to Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and it's fine because there in Chicago was all good. But then when you become the president, I think Farrakhan's an anti-Semite, and I think gay marriage is great. You did a whole 180 from what you believed before. But that's what politicos do. He was very good at that. Chris Christie, why is he on my screen? Hold on, let's get some sound.
Yeah, let me ask you the question I tried to ask Tom Cotton. He didn't exactly give me an answer, but you will. Which Trump is going to show up tonight? You know what I mean by that. Which Trump?
I think at the beginning of the debate, the Trump who will show up will be the calmer Donald Trump. He knows inherently after the 2020 first debate against Joe Biden that the other Donald Trump is not the one that's a winning formula. The question's going to be, will he be able to continue to maintain that approach through questioning by David and Linsey and through any comments that Vice President Harris makes in his direction?
All right, so now look, as far as who shows up, what version of Trump shows up, he's not going to need to do too much heavy lifting because Kamala, all you really got to do, Trump, all you really got to do is just let her talk. Just let her talk, and she will talk herself into a hole. So that's all you got to do. You don't got to do too much, for real. Just do that, and you'll be good money. I promise you will. I promise you'll be good if you just do that. Okay, so shout out to them. This is going to be really, really good. Hold on. And shout out to y'all again for joining. Yeah, ABC News. I hope that there's not any kind of talk about the, lawsuit against ABC. Hopefully we don't really get into that. But yeah, we're going to get into it. Let me just let Chris Christie talk right quick.
Performance in part reflected that. So the question's going to be, is what he's saying publicly what he really believes? We know that often with Donald Trump, that's performance. But I will tell you that in his 2016 prep, he was serious about getting ready for Hillary Clinton. In his 2020 debate prep, he was completely unserious about getting ready for Joe Biden. I think performances in both those debates reflected that approach.
All right, Chris Christie, you'll be watching with us. Martha?
And we have about 6 minutes left before the debate, so let's bring in Donna Brazil, formerly of the DNC, and Reince Priebus, the RNC. Welcome to both of you. And Donna, let's start with you. You have said that Kamala Harris has to own the future. But she also has to own the past. So how does she do this?
It's quite easy because I do believe that in talking about
Not Donna Brazile, really Donna. Where they get Donna Brazile from? Now, if you guys don't know, Donna Brazile, and if I'm wrong, y'all correct me. I'm gonna tell this story, but I may get some details incorrect. Donna Brazile at one point was the chair of the Democratic National Committee convention, and what she did was give Hillary Clinton questions before a debate on CNN. Didn't she do that? Now, if I got any of those details wrong, y'all let me know. But that is Donna Brazile, and she did give her, meaning Hillary Clinton, debate questions early. How are you going to have her up here talking about a debate? Really? Hey, you know what? Who else better to talk to about, I don't know, financial security than Bernie Madoff? What do you think about financial security? Okay, how are we going to protect these banks? I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird.
Mistakes they made too, and Donald Trump is going to go after her on that.
You know, Martha, they made mistakes. Donald Trump and Mr. Pence made mistakes. But you know what? If we focus on our mistakes.
You did too. You made mistakes as well. Well, not really a mistake because it's not like an accident. Oops, here's the questions before the debate. Oops, no. You just did something you shouldn't have been doing.
Without paying over $1,000, $35. There's so much good that she can talk about from the visits that she's made to small towns across this country, large cities across the country. Bring us together. The American people want to be led into the future, not dragged back to another era.
And Reince, I want your thoughts on, you've also prepped Donald Trump for debates back in 2016, I believe. What Donald Trump do you think we'll see tonight? Can he be disciplined about talking about policies and what kind of president he will be?
Well, he certainly can be. I mean, the reality is Donald Trump doesn't have a lot to lose tonight. I mean, his support has always been almost unmovable. So the second piece is the honeymoon, I think, is over for Kamala Harris. And you all kind of touched on it with Donna. Kamala Harris has to answer for the state of the economy that she took a role in the Biden administration, the border, her past positions on decriminalizing the border.
Because you can't say that, because some people are going to say, oh, what does the vice president do to try and absolve her of any responsibility? You can't say that and then also say, well, she had a deciding vote in the Inflation Act they did. You can't say both things because either she does nothing, she's just sitting there pageant waving, or she has a deciding vote and she can impact policy as a vice president. So let's pick whatever we're going to go with and just stick with it rather than being duplicitous like that.
Attract female voters after saying things about Kamala Harris, and we'll see how he pronounces that tonight, things he said about Kamala Harris, that she's dumb as a rock. That's not really going to attract female voters, is it?
Yeah, no, it won't. But I also think that just like he did in the first debate against Joe Biden, I think the formula here is to constantly tie Kamala Harris to the Biden administration.
So 2-minute warning, 1:50 to go, and we're getting started. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are as well. We got 6,800 in the building early, and it's going to get even more crazy. We're going to go, I think we're going to get past 10,000, maybe 15. So we'll see. We will see. And also, since we got a little bit of time before the debate begins, I will be doing my regular stream tomorrow night, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also doing my regular stream on Saturday, and I'm putting out pre-recorded content all throughout the week. I believe tomorrow I'll do like a wrap up of this to give you, the play-by-play, what happened, a little summary video. I'll do that tomorrow. So that'll be how we go about that. And also for you guys who have been asking me, yes, I will be streaming in the actual election in November. Oh yeah, I would not miss the November election to stream that with y'all. I would not miss that for the world. So I will be here for that in November. So we are on the final stretch. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the sound on, and hopefully they can get started on time.
Have my doubts that
and there's no weird stuff happening. We can just have a good debate. Again, the debate is going to be 90 minutes. It begins in a few seconds, and that's pretty much what we got to know.
So with the stakes so high, the presidential debate just moments away, we have the entire news division keeping an eye on everything. We are going to be fact-checking on our live blog. It's all going to be happening right here. The debate now just 10 seconds away, and we will be back with our post-game show as soon as it's over. We are going to toss it right now to David Muir and Linsey Davis.
All right, here we go.
Tonight, the high-stakes showdown here in Philadelphia between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Their first face-to-face meeting in this presidential election, their first face-to-face meeting ever.
A historic race for president upended just weeks ago. President Biden withdrawing after his last debate. Donald Trump now up against a new opponent.
The candidates separated by the smallest of margins, essentially tied in the polls nationally and in the key battlegrounds, including right here in Pennsylvania, all still very much in play. The ABC News presidential debate starts right now.
This is an ABC News special, the most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala Harris.
Together, we will chart a new way forward.
Donald Trump.
We will soon be a great nation again.
Face to face, historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Linsey Davis.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Linsey Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before. which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump, will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad. But it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back, and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan. And it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point. when we know that she was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID?
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Linsey?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to your desk?
Well, I won't have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond. But I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working one or two jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a four-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president, in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts.
Vice President?
So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies.
Y'all do that.
Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him.
Lies.
It's up to the American people.
Lies.
Vice President
to stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. Linsey?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that
to get,
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Linsey?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down. And name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your response?
First of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I've built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important, in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead, we'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take
A lot of acreage.
400,
President
500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get
environment,
to.
as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Linsey, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
He answered it.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there.
Somber moment.
And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason.
And beat it.
But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville.
Oh, Lord, not Charlottesville.
There was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Oh, Lord, no, you didn't.
Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by.
Kamala.
So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law.
Lies, lies,
and
lies.
To end the chaos and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath If this and
Kamala.
the outcome of this election is not to his liking, let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
The lies are
Let
crazy.
me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous.
Close the border.
Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide.
Oh, Lord.
In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about it. An election is fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it.
Didn't detect the sarcasm.
We should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases
David.
in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge looked at it.
And said
they
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread
standing.
fraud.
That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that.
Whatever.
And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart, Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is up.
I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un.
Love letters.
And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
All right. So now, just for a little bit of housekeeping here, the debate is scheduled for 90 minutes. We're at 60 so far. There's 2 commercial breaks scheduled. 2 commercial breaks. So I guess they're going to do one like right at the end of it. I don't know, because if you went 60 minutes with no commercial, now you have one. I don't know how they're going to put it in number 2. But yeah, we still got more time. Don't go nowhere. We still got 30 more minutes left. They're only on a commercial break. Now, this debate has been a mess. Kamala, you know what Kamala's been doing? She's been entertained by Trump. She's been like kind of smiling at him and laughing, like, and not in the way to where it's I'm laughing at you as if you are inferior. She likes to hear him talk. She likes him. when I'm not saying necessarily that way, but she likes him like most people like him, like how all the rappers liked him and Muhammad Ali and all these people, they like Trump. She's no different. When he puts her in her place, she gives him an admirable look. I know she ain't getting that kind of energy from Doug Emhoff. I know Doug Emhoff ain't doing no checking. Doug Emhoff is like, hey, yes, dear, whatever you want, I'll do anything. He's that kind of guy. But Trump put her in her place a few times. She had a big smile on her face. She enjoyed it. That right there, see, that you can't be like, okay, you're going to be talking to Vladimir Putin and doing stuff like that, like fangirling out over Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. Is that what you're going to be doing? You can't be doing that. Listen, I know she's a woman. She must be feminine, and that's great, and that's fine. But you're going to be a leader. You got to be stone cold. You got to be a real straightforward, no nonsense. You got to be the hatchet lady. You got to be somebody that can really make things done. Okay, what was that? Margaret Thatcher would never. Margaret Thatcher would never. Angela Merkel would never. Angela Merkel got the whole, what they call it? The babushka energy. She would never. Kamala, on the other hand, is not only laughing and smiling with Trump, but she's also lying. She's lying quite a bit. Lying a whole lot. Everything she said was a lie. Bringing up Charlottesville and trying to use that as ammunition against Trump was out of control. That has been debunked soundly by both sides. The whole, it's good people on both sides. There was an issue of the statue on the campus of University of Virginia. Some people came there who were for the statue, some were against it. That is the both sides he was referring to. It's not about, it's the Nazis and the non-Nazis, because on both sides of the statue issue, you had regular normies and extremists. That is the reality. So bringing that up is crazy. Then talking about J6, Nancy Pelosi said on camera that she's responsible. It's her fault. Trump said, hey, it's going to be a big event. Can we get 10,000 National Guard? The mayor of D.C., we're not going to give you any extra resources. Nancy Pelosi, no extra resources. So then when something happens that Trump tried to prevent, all of a sudden it's Trump's fault. When Trump says go peacefully, they say that he riled them up. When Trump says we need security, they say he just let stuff happen and didn't have any security. It's BS. And then also, Trump is debating not only David Muir, but that fake Kristen Welker they got. I thought that was Kristen Welker the entire time. Shout out to my man on Twitter who told me, hey man, that ain't her. Her name is Linsey Davis. Who is that? I thought that was Kristen Welker. It's not Kristen Welker. It is a woman named Linsey Davis. Who is that? I don't know. I think I've seen her before, but I can't really tell. But he's debating David Muir and that lady. They're fact checking him in real time. But then when Kamala says something that's an obvious lie, like Charlottesville, they don't say a word. So this is not a very well moderated debate. It could be worse. It could be worse. But the CNN debate was much better with the moderation. They were very fair to both Trump and Biden. But right now they know that Kamala is bad and she needs help. And she has about 15 words in her vocabulary. So they had to kind of give her a little bit of a boost. Okay. They got to give her a boost. This is a long commercial though. Can we get back to the debate? Like, does Kamala need some water? And in the very beginning, maybe she was nervous because there's a whole lot of, listen, I speak a lot for a living, I suppose. And I don't do whenever you hear that going on, and I hate when streamers don't stay hydrated because I can hear all this lip smacking because you need some coconut water. Hey, coconut water does somebody good.
Constitution Center.
Let's go back to the debate.
Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Linsey Davis.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for $250 billion or more. because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interests for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening. But he does have that, something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
What?
But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this
way,
former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not, again, appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal and, in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country.
Oh, boy.
Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Oh, my God, no way.
You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings.
Oh, here we go, the lawsuit.
And he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families.
Are you black or what?
Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Were they innocent?
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States.
Your friend did that. Hillary Clinton did that.
And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Linsey?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up,
I
Linsey.
want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden.
I can't
and I
tell.
am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life, to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She
please.
has a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay. Thank
That's
you, Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Linsey,
to
go ahead.
respond because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump,
president has said
no, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I just
going
need
to move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now
times.
your
Yes.
third time
Getting
running
juicy.
for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better.
Correct.
Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Linsey. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
In terms of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot of...
She made a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Okay, so we got one more commercial break, and then they're going to come back for their closing statement. So again, this debate was scheduled to be 90 minutes. We're pretty much right on that. We started at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's now 10:36. But they also had a commercial break, which lasted for a little while, between, 5 to 10 minutes, I suppose. So that's what's going on here. Again, shout out to you guys for being here. We got one more commercial break. Then we're going to come right back for the closing statements. Now, there's been so many lies told from Kamala, so many lies. You know what, Kamala, here's a strategy, in my opinion, from Kamala. The strategy is, let's just say all the mainstream media talking points that people will recognize, even if it's fake, even if it's false, even if it's a lie. Let's talk about J6 and Charlottesville and Vladimir Putin and all this kind of stuff. Let's talk about that. But Trump is bringing things that you're not going to hear in the mainstream media, things that are true, things that if you are watching this, you can fact check it. Listen, I tell everybody that's watching me, y'all might be new, might be your very first time watching a thing like this. But I tell everybody, don't believe anything anybody says. Don't believe me. Don't believe Kamala. Don't believe Trump. Research. If Trump says something, don't just take ABC's word for it that it's false. Or don't let them make you think that it's not worth investigating. Do your own investigation and figure out what the truth is. Okay, the whole thing about Springfield, Ohio, and the dogs and the cats and the rats and whatnot that have been eaten allegedly by the Haitian migrants. Look it up. Do your research. Look up some of the city council meetings where residents of this place are talking about the Haitians taking ducks from the pond and chopping their heads off and eating them. That's what they say. That's not Trump making it up. It's not me making it up. People that live there. He was saying it earlier. He was like, well, I saw that guy on TV talking about it. And then David Muir, his debate opponent, listen, I said that the lady was Kristen Welker. I looked just like her. Tomato. What's her name? Linsey Davis. Trump is debating not only Kamala Harris, but also David Muir and Linsey Davis. It's a 3-on-1. Okay. But David Muir is probably the worst. David Muir talking about when Trump said that I made a comment that was sarcastic. Oh, I didn't detect the sarcasm. You didn't detect the sarcasm. Who appointed David Muir as a sarcasm detector? How are you going to tell me if I'm being sincere or not? Like, you're going to fact check my sincerity? How you going to know that? Are you a mind reader, sir? Are you a sage? Are you a psychic? What's going on? But anyway, David Muir was saying certain things to him as far as, I believe, the Haiti, the migrant situation, talking about, oh, well, it's not from TV. This is what the person said from the place. Well, where did you see him say that? Did you see him say it on TV? Okay, so Trump saw the resident say what they said on TV too. So what makes what the city manager said be one thing, be correct, and what the residents say be incorrect. All right. Now, if you have video and whatnot, that can pretty much solve it right there. And I think over the next few days, weeks, etc., you're going to see a lot of video of what the migrants have been doing. And you know what? I have verified for 100% certain the migrants that have been terrorized places like Aurora, Colorado. We've seen that. We've seen the migrants terrorize New York City, Chicago, Illinois. We've seen the Venezuelans in Chicago shooting and killing and thugging and drugging. We've seen that out there. Oh, yes, we have. We see the residents in Chicago going to city council meetings every time and expressing their grievance about the migrants, talking about how they're competing for resources, they're bringing crime, they're bringing violence. I did a story one day about migrants taking over a school in New York City. Oh, it was just overnight. See what they'll say. Listen, I'll say migrants took over a school in New York City temporarily for shelter, and then they'll say, oh, it was just overnight and the kids weren't there. Really? Well, in the morning, what's going on? You got the migrants still kind of in there. It's not really available. It's a problem with the parents having to bring their kids, and it's a whole big mess. They're doing this kind of stuff all over the country because the resources aren't there to take care of these people. And Kamala is a border czar. She was appointed the border czar on TV. See, I guess if Joe Biden appoints Kamala Harris the border czar on television, that's not right either, David Muir, because we saw him on TV with Kamala Harris saying that you're the border czar. Okay.
National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Linsey Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Linsey Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
All right, so there we have it. That is the end. I'm going to keep it right here to see if they have any, if they leave the stage, if they greet each other or what. So looks like it just leave, no handshake at the end. All right, so there we have it. That is a debate. So we got quite a few super chats to read. Thank you guys for supporting the show. I really, really appreciate it. If this is your first time viewing the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. You're not going to regret it. We're going to come back here. We don't got to hear them. We're going to read super chats, and we're going to talk about what happened tonight. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. I promise you're not going to regret it. You're going to enjoy this channel. You're going to be educated. You're going to be entertained. You're going to be given honest information. I'm a very honest person, and I always tell everybody, hey, don't even trust me. Do your own research. All right. Do your own independent research. That's what you want to do. All right. So, yeah, we got a lot of super chats we're going to get to, but that is the end of the debate. We reached over 12,000 people in the chat. That is very good. Very, very good. All right. So let's just get to it. And you guys let me know in the chat what you thought. Also, I'm going to do a follow-up video. I'm going to do I'm going to try to condense this in like 10 to 15 minutes, my regular video length. So, you know, if you don't have 2 hours to sit and watch the live stream, you can just watch the summary and you can see what happened. I'll give you clips and everything in that video coming out tomorrow. I'll put it out tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then we're still going to come back again for a live stream on tomorrow, Wednesday night, 8 p.m., my regular time for ABL Live. And I'm going to have you guys call in at the final hour of that show on tomorrow. So again, if you are a first-time viewer, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys all throughout the week. But first, we got super chats to read. Okay, and I got a whole lot of them. Thank you guys for supporting. I really, really appreciate y'all. Y'all know without you, there is no me. Without you, there is no me. Let's go to super chats right quick, so don't go nowhere. If you sent a super, I will read it. And if I miss it, don't blame me. Blame the white man because it ain't my fault. I'm just joking, of course. But where are we going to start? So we're on September the 10th. Wow, I got a lot. All right. Thank you to Caius Posthumous, who said, just ordered my pizza and pop to watch this debate. He also says, Hennessy says Kamala only has unethical low blows. Thank you to Bill, who says, hope she crashes out. Thank you to Mo Laura for the emoji donation. I cannot make it out, but shout out to you. Yeah, I can't see what this says. They could say something about a squad. I can't see it, but shout out to you, Mo Laura. Or Mo Lara. Thank you to LJ Taylor, who says, I'm waiting to see if they will softball Kamala or uphold journalistic integrity. She straight ghosted all media. Let's see. I won't say they necessarily softballed her, but it didn't press as hard as they pressed on Trump. In this debate, what I saw, maybe you guys think differently, but what I saw was a lot of so-called fact checking from David Muir and Linsey Davis on Trump, but not so much on Kamala, because Kamala said some straight up lies. The Charlottesville thing, good people on both sides, that's been debunked for years now. I think even didn't Snopes debunk that? And Snopes is notoriously left-leaning or straight up leftist in their so-called fact checking. I think even Snopes had defended Trump on that. So she said quite a few lies that were not fact checked, unlike what Trump was saying, which was not lies, but they still fact checked it. David Muir, this guy talking about the craziest moment, the craziest, most obvious moment of bias from ABC was David Muir talking about, I did not detect the sarcasm when Trump said that the comment he made about I lost by a whisker. He said that was sarcasm. Oh, well, I didn't take the sarcasm. That was a crazy moment. You're going to fact check sarcasm? That's crazy. And how are you going to be the grand arbiter of what somebody's thinking in their mind? Anyway, matter of fact, hold on. So here is a good illustration of how the debate went, the 3-on-1. All right, that's pretty much it right there. Okay, that is pretty much the gist of it. All right, very, very interesting. All right, yeah, definitely one-sided. They definitely supported Kamala, 3 versus 1. But again, the craziest moment was the trying to fact check sarcasm. I was like, all right, man, y'all, come on, man. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Old stuff, bringing up old stuff years ago, bringing up, of course they're going to bring up January 6th, but they're bringing up the lawsuits from the 70s, dumb stuff. Okay, if Trump was this big, bad racist, then why did all the black folks in New York love him? Do you guys know that Donald Trump funded Jesse Jackson's 2 runs for president? Did you know that in the 80s and 90s? So where was racism at back then? Where was the racism when he's hanging out with 50 Cent, G-Unit? Trump went to G-Unit radio without 50 Cent. He was there with Tony Yayo, in this full suit, everything, just being Trump. Everybody loved Trump. The black community loved Trump. The whole world loved Trump until he became a Republican for president. Then everybody turns against him. That's crazy. That's fake to me. But anyway, super chats. Thank you to Bob K MIT, who says, Jericho Green join us tonight. Thank you to KG Hacks, pardon me, who says, no, I need at least one Applebee's ad. Thank you to Doe Eyes TV, who says, how many times will VP Harris laugh? Curious to see her body language. Good question. Thank you to Michael Guest, who says, is that a high chair? Or is that like a high chair, the child seat? So if you guys didn't notice, there was a difference in the size of the podiums. Kamala had a shorter podium than Trump did. And if you guys did not see that picture, I'll pop it up for you guys right quick. Okay. Let me just show you guys the podium so you can see the difference. All right. It might be kind of difficult to see right here. But you could kind of tell as they zoom in. The podium on the left, obviously, is where Trump was. And on the right, that's where Kamala was. Now, you can see that this podium here on the right is missing this little lip up under. Was that a lectern right there? It's missing the lip right there. And it's different. It's a different podium. Because I think Trump, before the debate, he was saying, let's not have Kamala do any kind of extra stuff. Let's not have her have a box so she can stand on it with her feet and appear to be taller because there's a height difference. Trump is 6'3" and Kamala is 5'4". That's their listed height. That's what they say. But regardless of what, there's a height difference. And several times I pointed it out. You know what? When I was doing like this, because you could see that there were differences in sizes. And to some, they think that's petty. They think that's shallow. They think that's childish. But the American people care. As I said in the very beginning, since Jimmy Carter, there have been no presidents below 6 foot. And Jimmy Carter was 5'10". Kamala is 5'4". That matters. We can say that it doesn't and it shouldn't, but it does. It is what it is. All of them, Democrat, Republican, Slit Willie. I call Bill Clinton Slit Willie. Slit Willie, Barack Obama, W, HW, Reagan, Trump. All of them above 6 foot. And many times well above 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3". It is what it is. So that's why the podiums look like that, because they're trying to compensate for the height difference. They don't want to have her at the same podium height as him, and she's like peeking over it like a little kid, or having to use a box to put her feet up on to make her artificially taller than what she is. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So that's what that is. But let's go back to the supers. And shout out to you guys again for donating. Thank you to Laura Catherine, who says, what's up, ABL? Can't wait for this. Shout out to you. Thank you to Billy, who says Kamala has crippling anxiety. Yeah, and I think there was some anxiety at the beginning because she kept all that. When you're hearing that kind of like smacking noise when someone's speaking, it's because they are probably dehydrated. That's the ultimate thing here. They're dehydrated. Maybe your anxiety could trigger dehydration. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But that noise is dehydration. You're not properly hydrated. I've not had one sip of any liquid throughout this entire thing. I've not had a sip. I was trying to offer Kamala some water and some coconut water. I was like, yo, come on. As you can see, my water is still full. I've not had a drop. Why? Because I'm not a dehydrated person. Okay. I don't drink alcohol and things like this is going to mess my body up. I drink a lot of water throughout the day. Y'all know sometimes during the stream, I got to get up and hit a little boy's room. But hey, it is what it is. Let's keep on going with super chats. Thank you to Seiji Bob, who says, you better thank a union member for vacation time. Yeah, that funny voice. Thank you to Michael Guess, who says, fresh start, ? We need fresh step everywhere Kamala has gone. Fresh step is crazy. That's that pet deodorizer for your carpet. That's hilarious. That was a good one, Michael Guess. Thank you to Emma EMA, who says, quote, people don't know nothing, unquote. That's a double negative opposite of your point, which is people don't know anything. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. You saved the day. Thank you to Clown Sheep 22, who says, ABL, will cackling Kamala come back during the debate? Yes, she did. If you guys noticed, when Trump would say certain things, it'd make Kamala laugh. Oh, yeah. One time he checked her quiet. When he did that, she liked it because she smiled. It wasn't just like a stoic. It was she smiled and didn't say nothing. She likes that. She likes that masculine energy. That was really crazy to see. I'm like, Kamala, don't you know you're in a debate with this man? You can't be showing like you actually are enjoying talking to him. You got to just be really stoic and straightforward. You can't be like fangirling and all that kind of good stuff. That was a crazy moment. I gotta in my summary, I have got to find that reaction because that was crazy to see something like that on a debate stage. You want to be the president and you looking like a fangirl to see your favorite guy in person? That ain't gonna do it, man. That's not gonna do it. And I would say the same thing if you're a male. Hey, sir, you are competing against this man. Why are you like giggling when he says something to you? Especially when he checks you. That's not how you're supposed to operate. But anyway, think of the Boat versus Windshield, who says, I watched some NFL games on Sunday. Offense is so bad I felt like Biden during a press conference, confused with bouts of anger. I've stopped watching sports completely. I'm done. I'm finished. I used to love sports so much. Basketball, football. I loved it so much. I was a big Dallas Cowboys fan as a little boy. And then when they drafted Randy from West Virginia, my hometown, I became a Vikings fan. And then I liked the Milwaukee Bucks back in the day with Sam Cassell, Ray Allen, Glenn Robinson. And then I liked them with Giannis when he first got drafted as a 19-year-old from Greece. I like sports a lot, but it's become so fake. It's become so political. It's become so ridiculous. And the quality has gone down. Young guys playing basketball can't do anything. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. The point is, I've not watched any sports. It sucks. They get the butt-faced McPherson, who says a vote for Kamala is a vote for more doo-doo maps. They get to Bit Rocks, Little Rocks, who says what can be unburdened by what has been. Trump. Did Trump say that? They get to Billy, who says, save me, vote Trump. And the Billy person is a duck. Okay, the person has a duck as a profile picture. So I guess this person is identifying as a duck and say, hey, please save me because we got some things happening to the ducks and some of these cities that are overrun by migrants that should not be happening. Thank you to, I'm not going to read your name, While Standing, who says, wonder what Peter's stand is on Trump now. Good point, because he's trying to save the cats and the ducks, the kittens and the duckies. Okay, thank you to Zachary Hawley, who says, under Trump, man, things are better. All he has to say is, look at what you have done since I was president. Exactly. And he hammered that point home in the closing statement. It's like, you have all these things, all these promises you're talking about. Why haven't you done it? You've been the president. well, not president. You've been the vice president under the president 3.5 years. You guys are a team. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, you guys are a team. Why haven't you gotten done what you say you're going to get done? Like, what's really going on? Get it done if you say you're going to do it. Why can't you do it right now? Thank you to John McHugh, who says, ABL, I'm trying to get my buds in Discord to watch you while I was streaming, but it's all censored. Anyway, love you, bud. Hopefully you got that straight, man. Hopefully you guys are able to watch me and you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to Slow Boy Whiteboard, who says, Haitians had corpses in the streets with nobody to clear them out. That's how they were allowed to come here. They cause unrest. Thank you to KC K Capazzi, who says, ABO, you are the absolute best. Longtime subscriber here. Keep up the great work. Trump24, thank you for your super chat and your very kind words. Thank you to Miriam Vidal, who says, average profit margin for supermarkets is around 3%. Meanwhile, my state tax rate is 8.25%. Tell me again, who's a price gouger? Oh, there you go. There you go. Thank you to Kai's Posthumous, who says, R.I.P. James Earl Jones. God bless you, legend. Yes, R.I.P. to the great James Earl Jones. He died at age 93. Thank you to Brent Armstrong, who says, Biden called him Senator Booty Juice, laughing emojis. Thank you to Dash Your Life Hawaii, who says, what up, though? Why when she describes her mom, she never says her mom or dad are strong black parents? And you know what? That's a really good question. Really, really good question. Because they're not. Because they're not. Thank you to Wake Up, who says, cats and ducks for Trump. Dr. Evil 814, thank you. Dr. Evil 814 says, never interrupt your enemy when she is making a mistake. And I like how Trump pointed out, you made a mistake. It reminds me of, you done messed up. You had the bottle of beer, but then you went to the store. You done messed up, right? I'm not saying the F word because, I'm Mr. Rogers. I don't do no cussing. Shout out to Ryan Henderson, who says, don't want to be led to their future. It's grim. Right on. Thank you to Laura Catherine, who says, let's go Trump 24. Thank you to the World of a Vampire, who says, watch 2020 election with you. Thank you guys for being here from that moment. That was a night to remember. It was really, really, I will never, ever, ever forget the 2020 election, 2016 election, all the events that we got, that we do together as a community, and new people were, I'll never forget it. And that night was crazy. Thank you to Excessive 2008, who says, here we go, Trump 24. Thank you to Laney Davis, who says, thank you for doing this for us this evening. I appreciate you, ABO. Thank you for your comment and your super chat. Thank you to John Sanabria, who says, thank you for all you do. You're my news. Thank you. Thank you to Smooth Artist, who says, Knackle, I don't know what that is. Thank you to Ivan Jr., who says, our unemployment right now is at the same point it was at the height of the pandemic shutdown. Kamala. Thank you to John McHugh, who says, dang, ABL, I guess C-19 was Trump's fault. Thank you to Michael Guest, who says, my rent went up one time during the 4 years of Trump. My rent has gone up each year during the Biden administration. That's just the beginning of this Biden comics. Maybe you meant Bidenomics. Thank you to Smooth Artist, who says, get our hind parts, Trump, but he said something else. He didn't say hind parts, he said ASS. Thank you to Smooth Artist, who says, Trump is a savage, Joe. Thank you to Michael Guest, who says, during the first break, scatter, new fresh step behind Harris's podium. You and that fresh step, man. Come on, man. You're funny. You're a funny guy. Thank you to John McHugh, who says, thank you very much, ABL, for streaming this and giving your commentary. No problem. Thank you to Mr. Apache Helicopter, who says she needs to moderate and leave her emotions in the parking lot. Thank you to Michael Guest, who says, keep your legs crossed and out of the... Come on, man. You be saying some raunchy stuff I can't repeat. Thank you to 7P, who says, thank you for hosting this gathering. Hey, no problem. Thank you for joining. Thank you to Victoria for your super chat. Thank you to Catholic Lance, who says, the government must uphold moral values like how the Christian monarchies of old did. Abortion is never justified or acceptable. And the thing about Trump on abortion, he's not even an extremist. They're trying to paint him as somebody that's they're trying to paint him as a guy that's going to ban abortion. But Trump says, I believe in the exceptions. Sexual assault, incest, life with a mother. He agrees with those things. And to go back to Roe v. Wade quickly, because the mainstream media will say that Trump's trying to ban abortion. He wants to ban. What repealing Roe v. Wade does, for you guys who don't know, most of you guys are going to know, but not everybody knows everything. Everybody got to get educated at a certain point, and then once you get educated, now you have the information. But what Roe v. Wade did was leave the responsibility of abortion to the federal government. Now that it has been repealed, it goes back to the states. What does that mean? Your state will hold elections to determine what the rules on abortion will be in your state. So you live in California and they want to delete babies up until the point of birth, then so be it. If the people want it, then the people will have it. Okay, now you live in somewhere else, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and they want different laws, then there's different laws. The people can decide rather than the federales deciding for everybody. I think that's fair because some people say they want abortion, some don't. Who's right, who's wrong? Let us vote on it. Let us vote on it in the states rather than the Fed. I think that makes a lot of sense. You have more control over your rights as a woman if you do things that way. If the federal government can ultimately control, then one administration, okay, so let's say Kamala comes in and she wants to change abortion on the federal level. So she'll have something in place. It'd be very liberal. Then the next guy comes along, a Republican, and he goes all the way far right. The best way to be is control on a state level because you have more control over what's going to impact you in your local area. The federal government sucks, and I hope that you guys are aware of that. Shout out to Mr. Apache Helicopter who says, is he debating Kamala or the moderator? Facepalm. Hey, great question. Like I said earlier, I think he was debating David Muir, the fake Kristen Welker, whatever her name is, and Kamala at the same time. Shout out to, I'm sorry about that. Her name is Linsey Davis. I'm being funny. Thank you to Cade Winter who says her eyes are empty like her soul. Thank you to John McHugh for your donation. And shout out to Goosey Lou too as well. Thank you to John McHugh who says, your people start shooting at him. Kamala, you clown. Thank you to Ivan Jr. who says, invite to Trump's rally is a W. People don't leave unless they have to be somewhere or it's gotten late. I've been to 20 rallies. Listen, a Trump rally is a place to be. I've been to quite a few Trump rallies and it was always love. Nothing but love. It don't matter what color everybody is. There's no color at a Trump rally. Once you're there, you're red, white, and blue. That's the colors. You red, white, and blue. Ain't no race. You red, white, and blue. It don't matter, man. Everybody from all different walks of life, you in there, it's nothing but love. Never a problem. And I've been to Trump rallies all over the country, and it's been the same way. Shout out to, where we at? Buffalo's Windshield, who says, Kemi has an endorsement of 15 million illegal aliens. She's going to give 150,000 of your money to buy a house. Oh, 150,000 U.S. American cold hard cash dollars that she wants to give to illegal aliens to buy a house and then vote too. Thank you to D. Smith who says the finest of wine will be poured tonight. Oh yeah. So how do y'all think Trump did? I want you guys to let me know. Do you think it was a curb stomping? Do you think that she got stomped into the finest of wine? What we got? We got a nice full body red. Like what we got going on with the wine situation? Did she get stomped into wine or was it not that bad? Did she do okay? Did she hold her own? Like, how do you guys think Kamala did? How do you guys think Trump did? Let me know in the comments. But we got a lot of super chats here, so I'm just reading through them. And again, thank y'all for your support. I could not do anything without you guys. Thank you to John McHugh who says, that's her ace, LOL. Thank you to Moramasa S who says, crazy how Kamala is never fact checked. Bias against Trump 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. She could say any kind of lie. The J6 lie was the big, not J6, pardon me. The biggest lie was Charlottesville. Good people on both sides. That's been debunked by left and right. That's been debunked by left and right. People have apologized for talking about that and trying to make it seem like Trump was saying that the so-called Nazis are good people. People have apologized for that. That's not even a thing that's even active anymore as a lie that is believable. I mean, if you're trying to talk to the normies that don't know anything, maybe they're going to believe it, but people that know something know that that is a lie. So they didn't fact check her at all on any of that. And that was the most egregious one, the Charlottesville situation. Thank you to Valerie Yanez with the different kind of face emoji. I'm not sure we got the crazy eyes. Shout out to you. Thank you to Catholic Lance who says, and she doesn't want to protect innocent men. Thank you to Aaron P who says she needs the Detroit accent soon. Thank you to Slenderella Charming who says TRUMP with the hearts in the middle. Shout out to you, Slenderella Charming. Thank you to John McHugh who says, I wish he would talk about downtown Willie Brown. And if you guys don't know, Willie Brown, that was Kamala's sugar daddy when she was in her late 20s, early 30s. He was in his 60s, married. He was the mayor of San Fran back then, and he helped her get her start in California politics. So after she gets with Willie Brown, she later becomes a California attorney general and also a California senator on the federal level, a California senator. All right. And now she's in the White House as a vice president and doesn't know what's going on. She was appointed as a border czar, and the border is wide open. The border has never been more open. The border is wide open. Thank you to Brent Armstrong, who says she's setting them up with the gaslight and hardcore. Her strategy is saying some BS real quick to get him hot and then taking his policy points. Shaking my head. Thank you to Mara Masa S, who says moderator once again does not fact check Kamala, but is combative toward Trump. Correct. You are right. But versus Windshield says, OMG, the liberal fact checkers' heads are going to explode like the end of the movie, The Kingsman. Thanks to Facts for Gentlemen, who says, I wish Trump would point out that she never answers the question. Yes. Thank you to Not a Band Account, who says Harris is winning. Cite sources, very presidential. Okie dokie, whatever you want to believe. Thank you to Krista for your donation. Thank you to Victoria Hunt, who says the moderators are biased in attacking Trump. Yes, they are. Thank you to Ivan Jr., who says that was a dagger Trump just gave her. She can't even respond. Thank you to Ronald Lee, who says, thanks, ABL, for hosting tonight. No problem. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Ronald Lee, who says, thanks. I read that one. Thank you to Ron Henderson, who says, I thought I was going to get wine, but she tastes like vinegar, real sourpuss. Yeah, that vinegar ain't hitting on 2 cents. Thank you to Krista, who says, desecrating the Capitol, quote unquote. You mean having drag queens on the lawn of the White House and LGBT flags in place of the American flags? What a mess. Thank you for this, Anthony, and God bless America. Thank you for your comment. And you're right about that. Desecrating the Capitol. They had drag queens at the Capitol. Matter of fact, they had drag queens on the White House lawn with their shirt off. One guy had his stuff out, his whatnots out like this, covering it up like I can make a difference. It's like, sir, I could still see. I see too much. I wish I could just go ahead and do the Men in Black flasher. Flash me right quick because I got flashed inappropriately before that. I want the flash to eliminate the previous flash, if you catch my drift. Okay, I ain't trying to see no twig and berries or nothing like that on the stage. Hey, Twisted Clown, you crazy. Twisted Clown says, wheelchair guy could have been a better moderator. You guys are hilarious. Wheelchair guy, that was a moment I'll never forget, man. My man was on stage mumbling in Morse code, and his lady, his wife or whatever, was translating it. It's like, man, he did not say all of that. This man mumbled for 5 seconds, and you got a whole big soliloquy out of that? Come on, man. He did not say all of that. There's no way. Anyway, that was a crazy moment. Shout out to the Third Time, who says Trump's not doing well. I think he did very well. I think it was a decisive victory, in my humble opinion. Thank you to Professor Winship, who says she said manipulated through compliments and favors. Speaking about Trump, speaking to foreign leaders and whatnot. But he continues, she just said Trump took bribes. I hope she can back it up because we got the dirt on Joe. We sure do. 10 for the big guy. We got that in documentation. We have that in documentation. 10 for the big guy because Joe sent his boy, the dope fiend, the crackhead, the crack smoker, the ne'er-do-well. They sent the black sheep of the family, perhaps, Hunter Biden. Well, they're all kind of black sheep. Joe Biden's family is almost as bad as that family in Georgia with the school shooter. That might have been a little bit too much, but you understand what I'm saying. They sent Hunter to Ukraine to sit on the board of an energy company making $50,000 a month, but yet he had no experience in energy at all before that, and he was just discharged from the military for smoking crack. How do you get that job? And then it comes out in the email, oh, well, look, okay, I'm going to get my taste, but let's leave 10% for the big guy, meaning Joe. And he's probably been doing that all over the world. That's how they get money. That's how you're able to be working as a senator for 50 years and become a multimillionaire. Okay. All that Barack Obama got as president was $400,000 a year as a salary, right? Right around that. So how do you become a multi-millionaire? I'm trying to figure out, how do you flip that? Did he create a Google clone? Did he just, like, what did he do with that money? It's because when you get into that world, you're able to have access to other monies that people don't normally have. When you have that power, when you have that influence, you're able to wield it to generate revenue for yourself. That's how it works. All right. And a lot of foreign money, people like Slick Willie getting paid $500,000 for a speech for 10 minutes from some foreign entity. You already know what it is. And you know what's expected on the back end. Hey, look out for me now. They locked up Kwame Kilpatrick for that, but a lot of them should be in jail as well because they all do the exact same thing. They pick and choose who they wanted to go after. Trump was the only guy that didn't do any of that funny stuff, and they still trying to get him locked up. You see how that works? Now imagine if Trump had engaged in all that foolishness, the money laundering, if he did all that, he would have been locked up because that would have been a slam dunk. But when they do it, there's no problem. Thank you to Good Samaritan's Kitchen, who says one time they had a camera angle head on and Chameleon looked so tiny. She does. Thank you to Trinigerian, who says they asked Trump about January 6th, but did they ask her about Afghanistan? They did get to that. Thank you to Zachary Hawley, who says Trump is killing it, man. He sure is. Kaya Prosperman says Trump put her in check, told her to hush. She smiled. I know it wasn't just me that saw that. I know it wasn't just me who saw that. Thank you to Ivan Jr., who says Trump is wiping the floor with her. Crushed her on foreign policy, economy, trade, domestic issues. Trump knows his numbers. Correct. He was very, very good on foreign policy. Very good. That was probably his strong suit. Thank you to Carmen Vega for your super chat. Thank you to Memphis, who says ban Shaquille O'Neal. He's a Democrat troll spy. Nah, he all right, man. He be doing his own thing. Shaquille O'Neal is like a hamster just kind of in a cage. He's just doing his own thing, man. He all right. Thank you to Blades, who says it's a 3 versus 1, and yet Trump is still holding his ground. So when will Trump get a debate that favors him? Very good question. I thought the CNN debate with him and Biden was fair. I thought that was fair, but this one was not. This one was not as CNN did their debate better than ABC for sure. And that's part of the reason why Trump didn't want to go there, because he knew it was going to be like that. Thank you to Kings of Cobra, who says he just needs to ask the question, quote, why haven't you done anything you say you're going to do? And if you're already in office, why haven't you done it yet? And you called it perfectly, because at the end, that was exactly what he said. So you called it, King of Cobra, 100% perfect. Shout out to you. Thank you to Ivan Jr., who says Ukraine is so far destroyed, it will never bounce back. It's just funneling, wasting our tax dollars to enrich themselves, Iran, Muslim Brotherhood, etc. The whole thing with Ukraine is that they're just trying to weaken the Russian Federation through proxy. That's why David Muir asked a very inappropriate question talking about, do you want Ukraine to win? Excuse me? Like, I got to pick a side who I want to win? That's crazy. I don't want a side to win. I want the war to be concluded. I want to negotiate peace. It's not about, oh, do I want the Ukrainians to kill the Russians? That was crazy. You shouldn't want either side to win a war. You should want the war to come to an end. Because if one side wins, the other side suffers, and their people suffer. It's not just Vladimir Putin. It's the people of the Russian Federation. People suffer. Real people that are not involved in any of it. They're just trying to make a living, trying to feed their family. So I don't get involved with that. Same thing, Israel, Palestine. I want the war to be over. I don't want Israelis to die or Palestinians to die. I don't want anybody to die. To ask that question was crazy, but you know the reason why he asked it is because They want Ukraine to succeed because they want to use Ukraine to weaken Russia. They're aggressive toward Russia. They're aggressive toward these people. That's why they want one side to win over the other. That's all. But Ukraine will never win because it's unwinnable. And if Russia pushes that button for the nukes, now we got something else going on. All right. Shout out to Both versus Windshield, who says Kami is black preacher again. Both versus Windshield also says Trump tried to meet with the Taliban. Biden gave them $4 billion in military hardware. Taliban World Army rank went from 140th to 42nd. Treason? Question mark. Good question. Thank you to Ivan Jr., who says Afghan response from Trump was right on it with the heart emoji. Heart emoji, fire. Her face melted. Got to do a clip on that. She expired on the inside. Thank you to Troy Berry for your fist bump emoji donation. I appreciate you. Thank you to Doe Eyes TV, who says, please let us remember tomorrow, September 11th. Yes, that's correct. 9/11 anniversary is coming up tomorrow. Just in a few minutes here, I suppose, because we're at like 11:20 p.m. on the on Eastern time. So how long has it been? This has been what, 22 years? No, 23, because that was 01. I remember that very well. I was 17 years old. No, I was 16. I was not 17 yet, because I turned 17 in September. I was 16 years old in my first block class, keyboard, and I was keyboarding with Mr. Hodges, and some of my friends were in there. It was a crazy time. But yeah, I was 16, senior in high school. I had not turned 17 yet. I remember that very well. All right. So that's been, 23 years ago? Time flies. Thank you to John Mayhew, who says, downtown Willie Brown, baby. Thank you to Loki Love, who says, I watched debates with you on your channel during your lives ever since the Trump presidency. I will always come back. Love what you do and what you provide to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I really do. Shout out to you, Loki Love. Thank you to Whalers860, who says, does Kamala carry hot sauce in their purse as well? Man, ain't no hot sauce in there at all. Shout out to Miss Tippy Lou, who says, Kamala, you had almost 4 years to do your job. That's correct. And it's weird because some are going to say, ABL, it's not Kamala who's, listen, Kamala says, I was a deciding vote on this. I did that. But then when it comes to holding her accountable for things that were not done, if you do things, if you are the deciding vote, if you have any kind of power at all in this administration, you can't pick and choose when to take credit for certain things, for certain policy that happens. Okay? If you're going to take credit for any policy that happens in this administration, you also got to be held accountable when you guys don't do things well. You can't just say, all right, look, let's say I got a job, right? I have several tasks to do. Now, let's say I got 10 tasks. Out of the tasks, I only do half right. I only do 5 of my 10 tasks right. Well, I didn't do, look, I can't really do those, but I did those. It's like, well, you got to do all of them. You got to do all of them. And if you don't, then you're held accountable. And at a certain point, if you are not doing enough of your tasks to warrant keeping you employed, then you get fired. That's how that works. You can't just say, oh, well, if you hire me in a better position, I can do more than what I did, although I could have did something in that prior position. That's not how that works. It's just silly. It's just silly. So if you voted for Joe Biden and Kamala was vice president and you don't like what Joe Biden did, what makes you think that Kamala will be any different? She's not. She's not. Thank you to Good Samaritan's Kitchen, who says, this topic get me red hot. Our family could no longer afford private insurance because of the Affordable Care Act. Exactly. Speaking about Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, the thing about Obamacare is that what it did was require insurance policies to adhere to certain things. Okay, you have to have you have to accept conditions somebody already had, pre-existing conditions. You got to take this, you got to take that. It made them it made these insurers meet certain government requirements. But then what happened was you have more private insurance coming out. That's cheaper. It may not have all the bells and whistles of the Obamacare approved plans, but they don't have to necessarily follow those same rules. It's weird the way it works, but a lot of times it's like the point is that it's expensive. And one thing that Trump did do was repeal the mandate, because at one point, remember, if you didn't get Obamacare, they fined you. They fined you and they took it out of your taxes, but he got rid of that. So he kind of loosened it up a little bit. He did do some things on healthcare, actually. Being able to have more private and also eliminating the mandate. There could be more, but that's what I know right now on top of my head. So yeah, Obamacare was not a good thing. And for me being self-employed person, the Obamacare was terrible. I don't have any children. I'm not married. So the plan was dumb. You had to have things I didn't need in there. I don't need vision. I wear glasses, but I don't need to go to the doctor. I know what my prescription, like I'm good. I know how to wear glasses, but wearing them all my life, I'm good. Okay. It was just a bunch of stuff that made it expensive. They were trying to tell me at one point for one person, me by myself, it was like $600 just for me. I'm like, for what though? I'm not a crack smoker. I'm chilling. I'm in great health. I'm good. Why do I need this? Obamacare sucks. Okay. So let's keep on rocking here. Thank you to Doe Eyes TV says, that is a lie. I have lupus with lung disease and Kaiser denied me rehab. My oxygen, which I don't need now, and my meds are almost $500 a month. Wow. That's crazy. Thank you to Kimberly Napper, who says, I'm very disappointed in this debate. She has not answered any questions. He is letting her get to him. My mama still pays high prices for her diabetic medication. She is 18 years old. That's crazy. Thank you to Krista, who says, I turned 40 this Friday the 13th. Shout out to you. Another 1984. Another 84 baby. Krista says, I turned 40 this Friday the 13th. I know yours is soon after. Sunday the 22nd. You are correct. Look at you. Remember my birthday. Thank you. Here's an early happy 40th birthday wish to ABL from New Jersey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for the early birthday shout out. Yes, I will be 40 years old on Sunday. I'm hearing the comments. You look 85 already. That's fantastic. But your mama like it, so that's fine. Anyway, I digress. Thank you to Kathy Carver, who says, only thing I would want to hear from Miss Harris is, who did your hair? I was noticing the hair. I was noticing the hair a little bit. That's probably her natural hair, but it could be a wig. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I was noticing the hair. Shout out to the hair. Thank you to Brian Henderson, who says, she only had one client, Willie Brown. Thank you to Victoria, who says, just for Trump's suit, and with the American flag emoji. Thank you to Brent Armstrong, who says, if it's one thing a black woman is good at, it's gaslighting. No, I ain't gonna say that. No, let's not do that. No, I ain't gonna. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate you. And Kamala, the funny part is she's not even black. Kamala is something else. And she did not answer that question during the debate about, the whole heritage thing. She kind of like swept past that because she's not black and she know it. When she was a senator and all of that, she was running as an Indian American, not a black American. That is the actual truth. She knows it. Everybody knows it. All right, well, we got super chats here. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate y'all. If you like what you're hearing so far, if you enjoyed what you heard tonight, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. Okay, more super chats here. I got quite a few more, but we're running out to the end of the super chats. Thank you to Brent Armstrong. I already read that one. Thank you to John McHugh, who says, what broke me was the Afghanistan withdrawal. That was the most embarrassing and disgusting thing I've ever read. Look at history. There has probably never been another military withdrawal since ancient times. Thank you to O.B. Big. I know I tore it up. Who says Putin Trump. Thank you to Obstacle Illusion. Yes, Obstacle Illusion, who says, thank you, ABL. Been subscribed for a long time. Shout out to you for your subscription and being a long-time supporter. I appreciate you. Thank you to American Jane, who says, you rock ABL. Thanks for this. We all seem to endure this better together. Laughing emoji. Thank you for that. Thank you to Marija RM for the goal soccer emoji. Shout out to Alicia Raya for the shock emoji. Thank you to Tina May for the Crawy. Hopefully I got that right. Who says Oregon and New Mexico allow abortion with no limit on how far along you are in your pregnancy. Thank you to Timothy Hine for the Japanese money, the yen. All right, big baller in Japan. Can I get an original Nintendo? Like, what's going on? I know you got it. Thank you to Uplift by Toy Whitney, who says, bless you, brother, for your intelligent, factual commentary. Prairie emoji. God bless America. With the Christ, with the cross emoji, and the American flag. Make America great again. Shout out to you, Uplift by Toy Whitney. Thank you to Naomi B, who says, I'm a former idiot Democrat, in parentheses, and I would have ate up a lot of what she said. She did better than usual tonight, which I don't like, worries me. I mean, she did better, but all of what she said is easily debunkable. She did a lot of lying. You see, she was able to speak okay, but a lot of lies, a lot of debunked stuff, all of that was going on. Okay, a whole lot of that was going on. Where we at? Shout out to Eddie Soria, who says, Harris lied all the way. As a Californian, she destroyed our state as a district attorney and senator. Our country needs a leader, not a person who bends over for communist countries. Man, that was a little rough, but shout out to you for that one. Thank you to Ridge McLennan for the ice cream cone emoji. Thank you to Mac McLean, who says Trump City. Thank you to hashtag the Janelle Live, who says she came off petty, catty, name calling, and negative, made Trump seem mature and presidential, making faces. Yeah, the faces were crazy. Absolutely. Like, her speaking is not even a thing. It was just her behavior and the lying. She kind of came off real childish. And she also says looking hood and green. Oh, she owns a gun, question mark? Hey, who knows? Thank you to Sherman NG, who says, I have confidence in Trump's foreign policy responses, but I'm a bit concerned that his January 6th and 2020 responses will hurt him. I mean, people not going to like everything. It is what it is. Retro Reviews, what happened to my main man? I ain't going to say his name, Derek. Shout out to Derek. I don't know. Shout out to him. Thank you to Michael Feldman, who says, as a white boy from Detroit and the OEF vet, Trump did nothing for me. Biden has F me over. Thank you to All-American 09, who says, ABL loved the live tonight. When it came to the border and the millions coming in, they did not pressure on that one bit. Read Deuteronomy 28:43 through 45. Thank you to Jackie Lawrence, who says, Cat was a USA woman, Duck was a Haitian. Witnesses, correct. Thank you to Kathy Crawford, who says she wants to hump Trump. Thank you to Big Al Uncle Coon, who says, great job, ABL, Trump 24. Thank you to Silos Pampa, who says, I couldn't watch the debate because I'm at work and I want to know who you think won. I'm curious. Trump all day long. And I'm not just saying that because I'm going to vote for Trump and I support Trump. He won. He definitely won. He was a stronger person, an actual leader, a guy that can command respect, a guy that knows what he's talking about. Kamala is just a product of whatever kind of debate prep she got. That's it. Thank you to James Robinson, who says, where's the black accent? I don't know. That might still be in California. Thank you to James Robinson, who says, all right, write that one. Thank you to Brenda Rain, who says, to me, the mass deportation is simple. Stop giving illegals money and make it a heavily finable offense to employ them. Most will self-deport. Correct. Thank you to Zachary Hawley, who says, somehow I'm embarrassed that these are the best we can get. Pro-Trump, but man, can we get everyone to agree that we need someone else and agree on the regular nominee for president? I mean, if that's what you want is a normie president, I understand. But I don't think most people are going to agree with you because these normies are not intelligent. These normies are not intelligent, man. Listen, you go out on the street and you ask simple questions of people, educated people even, they don't know anything. They don't know anything. Kamala is a normie, really. Like, Kamala's a normie, actually. She's a normie. She's not a groomed politician. She's not a very intelligent person. She's a normie. I don't think you want them to really be in office. You want people that have had success in business and politics or something. They've been proven leaders. You want them to be in office, not normies. But that's just my opinion. Maybe some people agree with you. All right, let's keep on rocking and rolling here. Thank you to Brian Harrell, who says Democrats are my body, my choice until it involves that shot. Thank you to Eddie Soria, who says ABL, love your stream, love your channel, always big support, America first. Shout out to you, Eddie. I appreciate you, man. Thank you to Billy, the duck, who says the Uno reverse on the I'm speaking from Trump actually made my night. You know, our people desperately wanted to recreate that moment for her. Oh, yeah, that was great because she was like interrupting them. And one thing Trump didn't do, because some may say that Kamala was getting to Trump, but one thing he didn't do was interrupt her. He never, not one time, interrupted her. And if y'all can find a point where he did do that, let me know. But I was watching. I kept my eye on it. I was watching him very closely. He did not interrupt her. She didn't do it much, but she did do it. And a couple of times, he was like, quiet. It's my turn. It's my time. I'm talking. And when he did that, she had a big Kool-Aid smile. Kool-Aid smile. I know what that smile means. That smile means, oh, you're a man and you put me in my place. I like that. It was automatic. I saw it in her face, her body language. I saw it. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Hey, you know what? You want to see a leader on stage. Now, if the man on stage can dominate everybody, listen, the moderators, David Muir, trying to buck and be like, oh, we got to move on, Mr. President. We got to move on. Ignoring David Muir, ignoring the fake Kristen Welker, ignoring Kamala, and putting them in their place. He was the man on stage on tonight. He was man on stage tonight. Kamala, I mean, I don't know. Cabinet member at best. Cabinet member at best, okay? That's pretty much all she can do. President? No. No. And it's not because she black, because she's not, or whatever she wants to be. She's not a leader. She's not a leader. All right. That was a crazy moment to see that, though. But anyway, shout out to Twisted Clown, who says, wheelchair guy could have gotten a better moderator. Hilarious. Thank you to Tyshawn for the two donations. And one says, Trump, wait a minute. I'm talking now. It sound familiar? That was the whole thing with the I'm speaking. Thank you to Brian Harriel, says she smiled because she did that to Pence in 2020. Thank you to Zay, who says, ABL, we love him live. We watch daily too. Can I get a shout out to my girlfriend, Keisha and Brandy? Shout out to Keisha and Brandy, and shout out to Zay. I'm glad y'all are watching. I appreciate y'all for being here. Always. Shout out to y'all. Thank you to Zachary Harley, who says she got out there selling hopes and dreams. That was a whole spiel. She wanted to just appeal to what people have already seen in the media, a lot of lies and things of this nature. That's the thing. Thank you to Butt vs. Windshield, who says, happy birthday. 40 doesn't mean you'll never throw a flip-flop at a bug on air again. Did I do that for real? I think I did. I remember that. Yeah, it wasn't like a roach, though. It wasn't a roach. So I got to make that clear, Butt vs. Windshield. It was like a regular, like a mosquito, or it wasn't a mosquito. It was a crane fly, I think. Yeah. So then I had the chancleta. I had that ready. The Nike flip flop, had that ready, and had to throw it like a pinpoint precision. And I think I got the crane fly or whatever that was in my house. I know it wasn't nothing crazy. It was a crane fly or a moth or something like this. Shout out to the crane flies. They kill mosquitoes for you. Thank you to Eddie Soria, who says, when Democrats attack all types of religions, where they say you can't say thank God or Jesus Christ, that shows Democrats' real colors. Exactly. Thank you to Kathy Carver, who says, ABL speaking truth. Right on. And thank you to Chance Dotson, who says, Kamala is all cap. As of now, I trust Trump. Right on. Right on. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right. I pretty much got everybody. Again, if you are a first-time viewer, if you enjoyed tonight's stream, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You're going to enjoy it. I'll be back again live tomorrow. I sure will. I'm here live every Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday, Saturday, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm live, and I put up videos all throughout the week. Pre-recorded about whatever politic related. I got another channel called Uncle ABL. That's in the description. Check that out if you want to, about more relationship and health and things of that nature over there. Also, you guys can follow me on social media on Instagram, Anthony B. Logan. Twitter, Anthony B. Logan. Facebook, follow me. Everything's right there. Oh, I have a website as well. Check it in the description box, but I'll put it right here in the chat so you guys can check it out. AnthonyBLogan.com. My name is Anthony Brian Logan, ABL. I'm easy to find, but I think that will be a wrap for me. So again, I'll be back tomorrow. I got a little summary video coming up next. Then, of course, we're going to be streaming that night, 8 o'clock, and I take calls in the final hour. So hopefully you guys will call in and give me your 2 cents about what happened on tomorrow's stream. But until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out, and peace.